When I came to my senses, the story was already nearing its end. The protagonist had achieved modest success. His company was thriving, growing stronger by the day. The second male lead had gotten what he deserved and was on the verge of being completely sidelined by the company. In a final fit of rage, he decided to drag someone down with him. That someone just happened to be me, the unlucky CO caught in the crossfire. Welcome to History Channel. Subscribe to follow all our latest adventures. Story begins. When I realized I was just a cannon fodder side character, I was in the middle of a negotiation with Bill Adams. Well, if you could even call it a negotiation. It was more like me steamrolling him. Bill Adams sat there, eyes rimmed red, tears clinging stubbornly to the corners but refusing to fall. He kept his head down, not daring to meet my gaze. His agent, standing beside him, jumped in with a greasy smile and an oily tone. "Mr. Parker, this Bill Adams has pissed off someone powerful. They said if we agree to freeze his career, they'll invest $5 million in our new project." $5 million for cutting loose a brat with no value left? Honestly, it's a bargain. And as for the truth, does it even matter to you? I appeared calm, even indifferent, as I picked up the already signed contract from the table. His name was clear, Bill Adams, 20 years bound to our company. All I had to do was say the word, and he'd be locked out of every role for the next 2 decades. According to the terms, he couldn't take private jobs or earn income elsewhere. Financially, it'd be ruinous. And if he tried to break the contract, he'd owe a penalty large enough to destroy him. This kind of thing was nothing to me. A snap of my fingers. And yet, my palms were sweating. My nerves taut. I was sneaking glances at him when I thought he wasn't looking. Bill clenched his fists, desperation radiating off him. Everything online, those rumors, someone set me up. I didn't do any of that. "Mr. Parker, please. I'll do anything. If you want me to entertain clients, I'll do it. I can bring real value to this company. Just give me one more chance." He sounded utterly pitiful. But the more pathetic one was me. This world I was living in, it was a novel. Bill Adams? He was the supporting male lead. The rival of the male protagonist. Both of them vying for the affections of the female lead. Naturally, he was doomed. Once the protagonist rose to power, he came back with a vengeance. Started a full-blown takedown campaign. First step? Planting massive smear campaigns across the internet. At one point, the entire net was drowning in Bill Adams scandals. Fan sleeping. Role snatching. Endless accusations. And I just couldn't help but mock him in my head. Look at this soft little mess. He couldn't even win a parking spot, let alone a starring role. The public was screaming, "Bill Adams, get out of showbiz." Some rabid anti-fans even camped outside his place, pelting eggs and pasting fake funeral photos of him. To make things worse, Bill was proud. He refused to sell himself like others did, wouldn't schmooze or crawl to people for opportunities. Naturally, that earned him enemies. Even his own agent had had enough. The guy had long written him off. Never gave him any decent gigs. And whenever Bill landed a variety show appearance, it was butchered in post with malicious editing, making him look worse than ever. He tried defending himself, but that backfired. His agent came out and confirmed that all the rumors the male lead spread were true. People who were still on the fence immediately sided with the male lead. In a fit of rage, Bill publicly confronted his agent. He ended up dragging our company into the firestorm. That's how he pissed me off. And the male lead? He was an investor in our company's new drama, pressuring me to blacklist Bill. According to the original plot, I agreed. Why wouldn't I? Free money. And getting rid of a disobedient actor? Win-win. Bill Adams, devastated and broke, eventually couldn't even afford his grandmother's medical bills. He snapped. Stabbed me to death. Then killed himself. That was my ending. My hand trembled, and the contract slipped from my fingers onto the table. No. Their vendetta had nothing to do with me. I was just a hard-working, replaceable side character trying to make a living. Bill flinched too, his gaze fixed on the contract like it was a loaded gun. His lips moved slightly, but no words came out. I got it now. He really was handsome. No wonder he dared to fight the male lead for the female lead's affection. Why hadn't I noticed it before? Would he look even better if he cried? Shit. What was I thinking? I shook the weird thoughts out of my head. Still, looking at that face now, I had to admit, I was kind of a bastard. Maybe stabbing me wasn't entirely uncalled for. Didn't I deserve some of the blame? I pressed a hand to my still unpunctured chest. Good news, I hadn't been stabbed yet. Bill wasn't thinking about murder. He was focused on the contract. There was still time. I could still survive this. God, please. When I didn't respond for a long moment, Bill's eyes began to shimmer again with a plea he couldn't voice. His treacherous agent, who probably already took the male lead's money, was still buzzing in my ear. Mr. Parker, I'm not one to gossip, but this actor really is a nightmare. I've never had such a difficult client. Then, more insidiously, you're a businessman. You know this is the smart move. That did it. All my pent-up rage surged forward, and I unleashed it, right at the agent. He was the one who pushed me into making that idiotic decision in the original timeline. This whole world was warped. Since when could an employee speak to a sill like this? I jabbed a finger at the man and snapped coldly, "Get out. Don't ever show your face in my office again. I'm informing you now, you're fired." I didn't have the patience to explain anything to the agent. I just wanted him gone. The farther away from Bill Adams, the better. That's the beauty of being the big boss. You can fire someone without giving a damn about the reason. Right there and then, I called finance and told them to settle his pay and get him out of my sight. And just like that, it was only me and Bill left in the office. The contract had already been signed. He was locked into 20 years of service to our company, no takebacks. Even if I regretted it now, the deal was sealed. Just as I was starting to stress about what to do next, a rather wicked thought crossed my mind. I wanted to mess with him a little. After all, this was the man who would someday stab me to death. Feigning hesitation, I said, "Well, there's not much I can do. The entire internet's against you. What kind of value can you still bring to the company?" His eyes filled with tears, and this time they spilled over. Teardrops streamed down his pale cheeks and hit the ground one by one. I actually felt my heart skip. I swallowed, throat tight. Bill Adams really did have the kind of face made for the screen. Him crying like that, hell, it was almost too much. Then, suddenly, he dropped to his knees and crawled a few steps forward. "Please," he begged. "Just give me 2 roles, any roles. I'll take background parts. I need money so badly. If the investors ask me to do something, anything, I'll do it. I swear." What? Shit. I'd taken the joke too far. Maybe you should be swearing you won't stab me instead? I flinched. In a daze, I forgot to help him up, and reflexively dropped to my knees too. We both ended up kneeling on the floor, wide-eyed, staring at each other like confused deer in headlights. In my head, a ridiculous phrase echoed, "Wedding kneel, mutual bow." I coughed and scrambled to my feet, dragging Bill up with me. From my drawer, I pulled out a thick stack of scripts. "You need money? How much?" "I'll tell finance to advance you whatever you need. Look through these. Pick whatever you like, we'll start filming right away. You want to play the lead? You'll be the lead. You want to play cannon fodder? Be my guest. Hell, you can be the only actor in the whole damn show. I'll bankroll the project. You just focus on having fun. If nothing here suits your taste, say the word. I'll get someone to write a whole new script for you. If that's not enough, I'll personally step into the villain role, just so you can kill me on screen. But let's get one thing clear, you only get to kill me once. Compared to my life, a few bucks was nothing. As long as I could keep this ancestor of a man happy, I had a shot at surviving." Bill looked utterly stunned. "You mean, you're not going to freeze me out?" I nodded frantically like a pecking chicken. "Nope. That kind of scummy thing? Not my style." His eyes widened with disbelief, and then he gave me a huge, radiant smile. He even bowed politely. Damn, he was surprisingly easy to please. So serious and proper, it was kind of cute. I really wanted to make him cry again. I shook myself out of it, terrified by my own thoughts. What the hell was wrong with me? I was actually thinking he was cute? This guy was a walking bomb. One day he'd explode and stab me in the gut, no warning. I decided right then and there, I needed to stay far away from him. Zero contact. Forever strangers. I even started seriously considering hiring bodyguards. Bill left my office profusely grateful. I wiped the sweat off my forehead, finally exhaling in relief. Crisis averted, at least for now. Then it was back to work. Being a CO didn't change the fact that I was still basically a corporate workhorse. My assistant reminded me I had a business dinner that evening. I lounged on the sofa, so tired even smiling felt like a chore. Glass after glass of wine. I kept drinking just to seal more deals. At least the night had gone well. I was already calculating how many shows I could fund for Bill Adams with the money I made. I was losing it. My head throbbed, and I rubbed my temples, letting out a quiet sigh. God, I was so done with this life. Just as I was about to close my eyes for a quick break, a loud voice rang out from nearby. Well, look who it is. Bill Adams, reduced to waiting tables? Didn't think you'd fall this low. I turned toward the voice, and nearly fell off the damn couch. Bill Adams was wearing a waiter's uniform, standing stiffly in front of none other than the male lead himself, Chris Alford. Chris wore a smirk of smug cruelty, his voice loud and taunting. What? Can't survive in the industry anymore. So you're picking up side gigs now? This kind of lowly work suits you. You should stick to it. Actually, how about you drink with me, huh? Maybe I'll toss you a tip. Or better yet, should I go find you a few men? Let you have some real fun tonight? I bet plenty of people would love that pretty little face of yours. Clinging to Chris's arm was Lauren Albert, the female lead, dressed in a couture gown that probably cost more than my monthly budget. She looked Bill up and down with open disgust. I must have been blind to ever like you, she sneered. If I'd known you were this kind of person, I wouldn't have wasted a shred of affection on you. Chris Alford let out a mocking laugh, leisurely picked up a glass of wine, and poured it over Bill Adams's head. The liquid soaked his hair, dripping steadily down his face. Bill glared at him. Hold it in, Chris sneered. Unless you want me to report you to the restaurant. You wouldn't want to get your pay docked over this, would you? Annoy me, and I'll make sure you can't hold on to this job. Bill's face went pale. He clenched his fists, voice lowered and tight with barely restrained fury, but his expression was numb. Apologies, sir. And to you as well, ma'am. It was my failure to serve you properly. Your criticism is warranted. Warranted, Myas. How did these two idiots end up as the male and female leads? I was starting to seriously question the intelligence of the author who wrote this world. Without thinking, I rushed over, shoving myself between them and yanking Bill behind me. Seeing him take all that shit without a word lit a fire in me. He had the guts to stab me in another timeline, and yet he couldn't stand up to these two morons? I couldn't help snapping at him. Why are you so obedient? Were you a damn teenage mutant ninja turtle in your last life? Watch carefully. I'll show you how to get revenge. I'm only going to show you once. I grabbed a fresh bottle of wine and doused the so-called male and female leads from head to toe. Soaked them completely. You. Chris's eyes bulged with rage. But our difference in status was too great for him to actually retaliate. He gritted his teeth and said nothing. God, that felt good. Behind me, Bill stood frozen in shock. The wine had soaked his clothes too. Through the damp fabric, I could faintly see the pale skin underneath. It looked soft, like it'd be nice to touch. His hair was dripping, the scent of wine clinging to him in a way that was almost intoxicating. I wanted to bite him. And that waiter uniform? Way too enticing. I frowned, quickly took off my jacket, and wrapped it tightly around him, covering him up completely. No one else was allowed to see. I licked my lips. What kind of outfit is that to be wearing in public? But suddenly, the alcohol hit me hard. My brain went fuzzy, and I realized I had messed up. Big time. I couldn't let Bill Adams out of my sight again. Not if I wanted to avoid him being mistreated in places like this. If he decided to blame me for it later, I'd be the one paying the price. But my body wouldn't cooperate. My legs gave out and I stumbled forward, crashing into Bill. My arms wrapped instinctively around his waist to keep myself upright. My head landed on his shoulder. My hands, restless, started wandering, trying to find something to grip for balance. I think I heard his breath hitch, a little fast and sharp. It sounded strangely pleasant. Right before I blacked out, I vaguely remembered telling him, "Starting today, move in with me. Wherever I go, you go. Otherwise, you're fired. No more shady jobs like this. You're joining the crew tomorrow." My brain was slow and slurred. But I did remember saying, "Oh, and one more thing. That uniform, don't you ever wear it in front of anyone else again." When I came to, my head was pounding like it had been split open. Dazed, I turned my head. There was someone lying next to me. I reached out to nudge them, and my hand landed on a furnace. It was Bill. Still wearing that same outfit from last night, though it was now completely disheveled. His collar hung wide open, buttons ripped off, his neck marked with vivid red streaks. His whole body was burning with fever, face flushed, and his forehead drenched in sweat. I touched him lightly and he trembled all over, flinching, eyes still shut tight. In a tiny, trembling voice, he murmured, "No more, please, just let me rest. I swear, I won't wear anything again unless you tell me to." I stood there, thunderstruck. What the hell kind of dialogue was that? No more? Rest? What else could he possibly mean? My stomach dropped. I might not have done it, but I knew what it sounded like. Even an idiot could guess what this situation looked like. I must have blacked out from drinking, lost all self-control, and done something to him. He was like this because of me. That bastard. That scum. And now here he was, suffering from a fever while I had passed out next to him like nothing happened. When he woke up, what if he thought I was some kind of pervert? What if he blackened early, snapped, and took me down with him? There was no time to waste. I called my family doctor immediately. Then grabbed a towel, soaked it with cold water, and placed it gently on Bill's forehead to cool him down. "Please, God, don't let anything happen to this man. I haven't lived enough to die yet." The doctor came quickly, gave him a basic checkup, and offered a simple diagnosis: overwork, common cold, high fever. Still uneasy, I pressed, "Are you sure it's not something else? Like, you know?" The doctor gave me a strange look and shook his head. I finally exhaled with a smile. Thank God. At least this part wasn't my fault. Before I could celebrate for long, the doctor glanced at me with a puzzled look. Then his expression shifted with sudden realization. "Don't worry, Mr. Parker," he said, solemn as ever. "From the looks of it, this one's still a virgin." He added, "Just be a little gentler next time. He's not in any shape for intense activity." He said it loud enough for Bill Adams to hear. Bill, who'd been sluggish just moments ago, suddenly looked thoughtful. Then he nodded slowly and said, "Thank you for protecting me, Mr. Parker. I'll recover quickly. I won't hold anything up." That's not what I meant. I was just worried about his health, damn it. And just like that, I finally understood what it meant to be utterly speechless. As if that wasn't enough, my assistant, who had come to report on the work I'd abandoned the night before, just so happened to hear the doctor's comment too. He leaned in and whispered, "Mr. Parker, I know a few places that sell, let's say, enhancement items. You want me to pick some up? First time I've seen you bring someone home." This guy, was he really my assistant, or the omniscient butler in some melodramatic romance novel whispering, "Young master finally smiled today"? Behind me, Bill Adams' fingers clenched around the brand new silk comforter I'd just bought, leaving faint creases in the fabric. But he quickly forced himself to relax. Then, out of nowhere, he muttered, "That's fine." I shoved my assistant out the door. "Get lost. As far as possible. I'm working from home this week. You're in charge at the company. Don't show your face here again and mess things up. Why is everyone trying to sabotage me?" I tried to explain myself to Bill. Tried to salvage what little was left of my boss-like image. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't behave like that. But he didn't seem to care. "It's all right," he said casually. "You were just drunk last night and kept asking me to change clothes." But after dragging you home, I was exhausted. And I had a bit of a fever. I really didn't have the strength. I just meant I wanted to rest before changing. So that's what happened. Thank God. Nothing had happened after all. I felt a little disappointed. But still, nothing happened. That's what mattered. Regardless of what did or didn't happen, I was clearly at fault. So, for the next few days, I diligently tended to my patient. And weirdly enough, Bill, who used to act like I was a cat and he was the mouse, seemed surprisingly receptive to my care now. Not only did he stop flinching at my presence, he even had the nerve to ask, "Mr. Parker, could you get me a glass of water? I need to take my meds." The doctor had advised strict bed rest, so technically it was my job to help. I handed him the glass of warm water, checked for perfect temperature, of course, and he gave me a soft, sheepish smile. That face, already pale from the fever, somehow looked even more tender in that moment. And then, he went a step further. "Sorry," he said, "but my hands are a bit weak right now. Could you help me take the medicine?" It didn't sound unreasonable, so I grabbed the capsule and held it near his lips. He lowered his eyes to look at it, paused for a moment, then tilted his head slightly, parted his lips, and gently rolled the capsule into his mouth with his tongue. His tongue, which brushed my fingers in the process. I jerked my hand back instinctively. Suddenly, my whole body felt flushed. Rationally, I knew he had just licked my fingers. Me, who normally couldn't stand the idea of two men getting handsy with each other, said nothing this time. Maybe it was because he looked so weak. So sick. All right. Fine. I could give him a pass, just this once. I rubbed my fingers, the warmth of the contact still lingering. Bill smirked faintly, tilted his head, and said, "Mr. Parker, the water?" I snapped out of it. He leaned forward, still using my hand for support, sipping the water in small, delicate gulps. His Adam's apple moved with each swallow. I felt even hotter. Something was very, very off. The weather was scorching, sure. But Bill's condition meant I couldn't turn on the AC, so now a thin sheen of sweat coated his skin. I watched a bead slide down his cheek, past his neck, and vanish beneath his shirt. He tugged at his collar slightly, revealing a glimpse of ivory skin. He caught me staring. "I'm just a little warm," he said, voice still hoarse from the fever. "Want to cool down a bit?" "Don't you feel hot too, Mr. Parker?" He wasn't wrong. I was burning up. Mouth dry. Throat tight. But something didn't feel right. I snapped to attention, grabbed the comforter off the bed, and threw it over him. Wrapped him up like a dumpling. Bill's smile froze. His voice was almost gritted as he asked, "Mr. Parker, what is this supposed to mean?" I avoided his gaze. "Where I'm from, sweating out a fever is the best cure." And then I ran. Almost tripped over my own damn feet on the way out. Behind me, I heard Bill let out a long, exasperated sigh. "You're hopeless." Hopeless? Hopeless. After everything I did for him? What was he sighing for? I started thinking back, trying to dissect how Bill Adams eventually turned dark. Honestly, it came down to one thing. His pride, his career, completely destroyed. So I got him a top-tier agent. Picked out a script tailored just for him, a male lead role. I was the sole investor, which meant he could do whatever the hell he wanted with it. Any vision, any direction, as long as the budget stayed intact. When Bill got the script, he looked genuinely happy. His eyes lit up like stars. That's how it should be. This was his prime. His youth, his fire. He was born for the spotlight. I told him, "I believe in your ability. This is your chance to turn things around. In this industry, skill is the only thing that matters." He threw himself into my arms, holding me tightly. "Thank you, Mr. Parker. I really like it. I won't let you down." Bill Adams was half a head shorter than me, and his soft hair tickled my neck. Frozen, I awkwardly patted his back. "As long as you like it." But a giant question mark popped into my head. Since when did employees thank their bosses like this? I couldn't deny a small rush of delight though. This wasn't too bad actually. Maybe even nice. He lightly scratched my palm. "Mr. Parker, would you have time to visit the set sometime? I'd be really happy if I saw you there." I nodded vigorously. Of course I'd go. I wouldn't be able to rest easy unless Bill Adams stayed under my watch. He was supposed to remain in front of my eyes. The director of the show was visibly shocked when I arrived at the set. Cautiously, he asked, "Do you have any suggestions for the script, Mr. Parker?" I picked a random seat and shook my head. "I'm just here to watch him act," I said, pointing at Bill Adams. "You don't have to worry about me. He's one of ours. Please take good care of him." Considering the scandal still hanging over Bill, I figured I should make my support clear. Bill responded right on cue with a well-behaved, sweet smile, looking calm and obedient. The director's eyes flicked between us, nodding repeatedly, clearly making all kinds of assumptions. I sat back in the chair, bored out of my mind, until someone tapped my shoulder. I looked up. It was a ridiculously handsome male actor. He leaned in far too close, his body nearly sliding into my lap. I frowned and shifted away immediately. Zero boundaries. Not even half as adorable as Bill Adams. Where the hell did Bill go? Didn't he see I was getting harassed over his project? I came to the set for him. Couldn't he at least show up and pretend to be possessive? The man didn't get the hint. Still pestering me. "Mr. Parker," he said smoothly, "I'm Dave Aiken. Been an admirer of yours for a long time. Would I be lucky enough to join you for dinner sometime?" He smiled again, so polite and logical it was hard to push him away. I know it's presumptuous. I'm the second lead in this drama, my debut role, actually. I just wanted to thank you for investing in the show and giving me this opportunity. His words were textbook perfect. Respectful. Justifiable. Hard to decline. I opened my mouth to say no, but the words stuck in my throat. I remembered him. From the storyline I'd awakened into, I knew Dave Aiken. He was a gift, sent to me by Chris Alford. A honey trap. The ticking time bomb. Later in the plot, Chris planned to use him to seduce me, steal company secrets, and ultimately destroy everything I'd built. But he hadn't even started yet. Because before any of that could happen, I'd already been killed by Bill Adams. Which brought me to a more pressing question. Why would Chris send me a man? Did that mean I actually liked men? I gave Dave a once-over, head to toe. Nope. Not my type. Bill Adams was better, everyone. If I had to like a man, it would be him. And now that I was sure of it, why couldn't it be Bill Adams? I wasn't a playboy. If I liked someone, it'd be one person only. So, Dave Aiken might have been Chris's pawn. But that also made him my weapon. If Chris wanted to stab me with him, I'd stab back first. For Bill. Perfect timing. I needed a reason to go after Chris anyway. I smiled warmly at Dave. Sure. Tonight, dinner's on me. My mind was already spinning with ways to turn the trap around. I didn't notice the darkening red rims of Bill Adams's eyes in the distance, or the storm brewing quietly behind his gaze. After the shoot, Bill came over to say hello. He was still in costume, long robes, folding fan in hand, looking like a frail scholar straight out of a period drama. His long hair was loose, covering half his cheek. "Mr. Parker," he asked softly, "this is my finalized look. Do you think it needs adjustments?" He stepped closer. And closer. "Wouldn't it be better if you saw it up close?" My brain short-circuited. Dave Aiken picked exactly that moment to walk over and wedge himself between us, completely ignoring Bill. "Mr. Parker, let's go?" I nodded, intending to have the driver take Bill home first. But he moved faster, grabbing onto the edge of my coat. "Mr. Parker," he said, "can I come with you?" Gone was the obedient Bill who used to follow orders without question. He looked at me with barely disguised urgency. "Didn't you say, wherever you go, I go too?" Well, damn. I hadn't expected that. He had a bit of that wolf in sheep's clothing vibe now. I pretended to hesitate. "This is a private gathering. You're off the clock now, you don't have to follow me after hours." But he didn't let go. Just held my coat and stared at me, eyes stubborn, unmoving. And the longer he looked, the itchier my heart got. God help me. I really like this man. Fine. I reached down, took his hand, and laced our fingers together. "Come with me then." Dave's face twisted on the spot. As I turned away, Bill shot him a smug little smile, a clear challenge. I pretended not to see. But inside? Childish as hell. At dinner, Dave Aiken ignored me completely and started making small talk with Bill Adams instead. I just debuted, he said, so technically you're my senior. I've heard of you, of course. You're all over the internet lately. He threw me a quick glance as if showing off. You're lucky to have Mr. Parker as your boss right from the start. I wish I had someone like him backing me too. Those words were a dagger wrapped in silk. There was no way Dave Aiken didn't know how viciously Bill Adams had been dragged online. He was stabbing him right in the heart. Bill's face went pale. In that moment, I completely forgot about my carefully planned scheme to use Dave to get back at Chris Alford. If getting close to Dave would hurt Bill Adams even a little, then it wasn't worth it. There were plenty of ways to deal with Chris Alford. I didn't need this one. I let out a cold laugh and slammed a stack of documents onto the table in front of Dave. I'd had my assistant dig through every layer of his background, from the moment he was born to his entire family tree. The dirt we found? Endless. Dave's eyes shot up to mine, wide with disbelief. Mr. Parker, what is this supposed to mean? I smiled faintly. We're both old foxes. Why are you trying to pull some ghost story bullshit on me? Go tell Chris Alford that I've got plenty of ways to ruin him. And as for you, I'm replacing the second male lead. You're out. He stood up, panicking. You can't do that. I looked him dead in the eye. I'm the sole investor on this show. I decide who gets to act. Once he was gone, I turned to Bill. Don't worry. He won't bother you again. At first, Bill's expression lit up in surprise. Then, suddenly, he curled in on himself like a guilty puppy. Mr. Parker, he said, I did something wrong today. But I found out what that wrong thing was very soon. The idiot had called the paparazzi himself, leaked his own location, just so they'd catch photos of the two of us alone and publish them. I had been carefully shielding him from the public eye for months, trying to prevent him from repeating the same tragic downfall from his original arc. I didn't even let news of his role on the show leak out. And now? He just flushed all that down the drain. I was beyond stunned, my temper flaring as I barked at him. What the hell were you thinking? He mumbled, voice small. I just didn't want you with anyone else. If you had accepted Dave Aiken tonight, I wanted the whole world to know I'm yours. I thought, with the way you've treated me lately, that maybe you liked me too. And when I tried to seduce you, you didn't reject me. Wait, what? So those moments I couldn't make sense of, that was him seducing me? My brain blanked. I didn't know whether to be proud of his honesty or to scold him for being too stupid. I wasn't even from the entertainment industry. No one would make a big deal about me dating someone. At worst, they'd call me a playboy. My career wouldn't suffer. But if anyone got solid proof that he was being kept by me, his acting career would be dead in the water. I couldn't help it, I snapped. Can you please use your brain before pulling stunts like this? Do you still want to act or not? He bit his lips so hard it left a mark. I'm sorry. I made trouble for you. I just wanted something official. He let out a self-deprecating laugh. I've already fallen this far. I don't care what people say anymore. My grandma's still in the hospital. You're the only one left who treats me well. I won't cling to you. I won't act anymore. I'll find some other way to pay her medical bills. So he'd risked everything, just to have the world think he and I had something real. I deflated on the spot. Reaching up, I yanked his head toward me and kissed him hard. Kissed him until his knees buckled and he collapsed into my arms, limp. I wrapped my arms around his waist. Come on. Let's go outside, openly. No more shady sneak shots. This'll be our public announcement. Bill nuzzled closer, his voice muffled against my chest. Mr. Parker, do you mean that? I pinched his nose in annoyance. Seriously? You're still calling me Mr. Parker? His ears flushed crimson. He hesitated before asking softly, Jonathan Parker. My boyfriend? Yes, I said firmly. Your boyfriend. But things turned out to be far more complicated than I'd expected. Outside the restaurant, it wasn't just paparazzi waiting. Bill's haters had shown up too. And he'd faced them before, trauma like that doesn't just vanish. At the sight of them, he started trembling uncontrollably. They stood there, aggressive and ready to ambush. Bill turned to me, voice shaking, "Jonathan, they're here for me. You should go." I looked down at him, at the fear he tried so hard to hide. He was terrified, but still trying to protect me. I grabbed his soft waist and gave it a little squeeze. "Do I look like someone who'd run off and leave you behind?" Then I pulled out my phone and called the police. Inciting public disturbance? They were about to learn the hard way. Seriously, was he so used to playing tragic roles that he forgot you could just call the cops? Just as I predicted, the next day our photos were everywhere, trending across social media, right alongside the official announcement of Bill's new lead role. I was more than satisfied. Riding the wave of attention? Why not? Let them talk. So it's finally confirmed. That's why he tanked his image, big names backing him. He probably sleeps his way up. Won't last long. The Parker Company. So must have seen it all. He'll be bored in a week. Bill read through the comments, and instead of looking sad, he smiled, wider and wider. I asked him why. He kissed the corner of my lips. "Because you make me feel safe." That was enough for me. I snapped a picture of us, fingers intertwined, and posted it. Not a fling. Not a kept man. Just my one and only. Then I had my PR team dump every prepared statement we had. All defamatory rumors about Bill Adams are being pursued legally. Our lawyers are ready. The comments section was absolutely blowing up. Holy sh*t, why am I kind of shipping this? Ah, cold so times pitiful little actor. Can someone act this out in front of me, please? Bill Adams's eyes sparkled with mischief as he leaned in and whispered deliberately into my ear. "Mr. Parker, will you really get tired of me someday?" I shoved him flat onto the bed. "Why don't I show you exactly how I feel?" Thankfully, the universe was still on my side. I'd awakened into this story just in time. Bill's grandmother still had a chance. I pulled out my wallet and used the power of money to secure her a VIP hospital suite. The doctors said her condition was gradually improving. As for the original male lead, Chris Alford, sure, he had a bit of fame now, but that was it. He could bully Bill Adams all he wanted, but compared to me, he wasn't even in the same league. If I really wanted to crush him, ruin him beyond redemption, please, it'd be child's play. He almost sounded pitiful. But just as I was basking in my own brilliance, I suddenly remembered something important about Chris Alford. The reason he was hell-bent on destroying Bill Adams was because Bill had stolen his beloved Lauren Albert. And just like that, my chest tightened with a sour, acidic jealousy, like I'd just swallowed half a vat of vinegar. I yanked the already sleeping Bill out of bed. He groaned, still half asleep, and shoved at me. "Jonathan Parker, are you possessed by a starving ghost or something? Let me sleep. Talk tomorrow." He kicked me more than once before I finally managed to shake him awake. I stared at him and demanded, "Why exactly does Chris Alford have it out for you? What's your relationship with Lauren Albert?" Bill squinted at me, dazed, and took a long moment to process. Then he finally mumbled, "Lauren Albert used to be a fan of mine. She sent me a love letter or two. I treated her like any other fan. Signed a few autographs. But Chris Alford got jealous. Accused me of stealing his girlfriend. Held a grudge ever since. Now he's all high and mighty and swears he's gonna ruin me." I believed him without hesitation. That sounded exactly like the kind of childish, insecure crap Chris Alford would pull. Relieved, I was about to let it go, but Bill wasn't done with me. He picked up a pillow and chucked it right at my chest. "You woke me up in the middle of the damn night. I'm wide awake now. What are you gonna do about it?" My eyes lit up. I rolled over and pinned him to the mattress again. "Oh, you can't sleep? That's easy. Let's just get in a little more exercise." The end.
Thanks for stopping by. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos.